Alright, this is my transition to design video for my client Henry Lehman. So I'm going to go over some things that stuck out from his intake form and consultation first. Things that stick out right away. He has always been athletic, always played sports, or has been working out to some extent since he started being involved in sports. So he's not new to movement and working out. He has had coaches before, which is always good. It's not like he's been doing it on his own, and he's had times where people have programmed things for him or had given him direction on what he should do, or as far as fitness or sport. On that, he enjoys fitness quite a bit. It's kind of a hobby and a bit of a lifestyle at this point for something he enjoys to do. But some other things that stuck out, his some stuff as far as like basic lifestyle guidelines could be better. His sleep quality, it definitely varies. Stress level and bowel movements kind of vary, and his food hygiene is not very good. So he didn't really even know what that was, which is fine. But those things that are immediately stuck out to me as far as doing fitness well, like he's active, but some of the other things like eating and sleeping, he drinks enough water. Water is good, and other habits around those things could definitely be better. Could be cleaned up, and I think would have a pretty good impact on him. He is a short guy. He's not very tall, but for how short he is, he's pretty stout. He's 188.9 pounds and roughly 16% body fat. I don't have an in-body machine, so that was just me going off of the equation from the index. But so he's strong. He has a decent layer of muscle. He's not weak or new to fitness. His mobility is not bad. It's okay. His limiting factor seems to be so like he failed the scratch test and the air squat test, but he failed the air squat test because of his upper body, not his lower body. Let's see. Toe touch was good. Lunge he failed the straight leg raise. The front plank he did good. Reverse plank he failed. Side plank he actually passed. Both sides are pretty good on that. So I think the biggest thing for him, things I noticed were his big shoulders, kind of bigger upper body. So his mobility in his shoulders affected a couple different movements for him that made him fail. So definitely need to address that. Is cleaning up his like thoracic kind of mobility and shoulder mobility will make a big difference. That, and then just some unilateral work, some straight leg tests he failed, but he did pass the toe touch test. So any sort of single leg hinging or single leg type squatting and lunging movements would be good. But other than that, none of the failures were horrible. Just I wouldn't put a stamp of 100% got it, but there's room for improvement in those things. OPEX work was great. He was on an eco bike, did 124 calories in 10 minutes, kept a good pace, even sped up a little bit at the end. Like I said, he isn't new to fitness, and he does have some work capacity, so there's something to work with there. Long-term plan for him, the way I laid it out, was he's not training for anything specific, like an event or a sport or anything like that. So it was basically just accumulation and then deload with not really much intensification. And kind of just really staying mostly in an accumulation state with a deload. I think every 9th week was the way I had it programmed. because he just wants to look good and feel good and enjoy doing it. The only thing I did intensify was on the long-term plan was his aerobic work, progressing from MAP 10 downward. Um, Short-term plan, that was pretty straightforward. It's an accumulation phase. It's some MAP 10 work, and it's a full body resistance program. Focused a little more on hypertrophy, and I am addressing some of the areas that I saw he needed work in, like his overhead mobility, because of his shoulders being tight, using things to address that, like good single arm pressing exercises and exercises like dead hangs, to address the shoulders, and other movements as well, like like a landmine RDL or staggered stance RDL, and split squats with higher time under tension, so he could really build the motor control in these movements for some of the things that I saw that made him fail, like the single leg raise and the lunge test. I think really just spending more time. He doesn't do a ton of the unilateral movements like that in his current training. So short term, having him spend more time in them with a weight that's probably moderate and higher time under tension, I think will really have a good benefit. Also, hypertrophy wise, I think it'll have a good benefit for him. That's why I prescribed what I did as far as fitness wise. And I did give him, he likes to ruck. So 2 1-hour rucks a week. Ruck is just a weighted vest that he has. So he'll take like a long ruck. And he does come from a bit of a CrossFit background in the past couple of years. So I do have some work that is more like a core work that I added, that it's like mostly like some easy aerobic type work, like rowing or biking with static holds, and maybe some core work like a plank or a tuck. Gives him the feeling of doing something that feels kind of like a little bit of CrossFit, but it's very much focusing on breathing and stabilizing, or like doing some sort of core flexion movement to work that as well. But he did ask if there's any way possible to give him something that lets him move like that he would enjoy that. So I felt it would be fine to have it in there twice a week. It is a total 10-minute AMRAP, but because the movement's chosen and the way it's done, it shouldn't actually progress to be anything out that's not just aerobic work. Those movements should slow him down pretty good. He shouldn't be able to move too fast, and it should be very sustainable. Lifestyle, move on to that. All right, so I prescribed sleep, and the type of sleep prescription was a wind down. So to read a book, something calming before bed, no phone. I did this because he would usually be watching TV and on his phone or just some sort of screen, typically before bed, and was complaining about energy levels in the day that weren't good or sleep quality that wasn't great. So yeah, I just said, all right, let's address just you go to bed at a decent time, it seems like. So let's just have you do something and get your eyes off the screens for at least, what did I put here? At 8 p.m. So 8 p.m. onward, no screens. He could journal, he could do books, he could play his guitar, anything like that. But that was to help with his sleep quality, to help him get in a more restful sleep right away. Next thing, addressing food hygiene, was chews. He was not really paying attention to how much he chewed, and he definitely said he didn't chew his food enough. He probably maybe chewed it 10 times. So 30 chews, and obviously I told him, like, can I chew yogurt 30 times? But that was the next one. And after that was under nutrition. Really was focusing on calories coming from protein. So being more intentional about trying to aim for 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight a day, um, and in doing so, staying away from some of the more processed foods he was kind of sneaking into, especially on the weekends. So I just said make your goal to eat good quality lean proteins, 1 gram per pound of body weight per day. So, and the reason I prescribed that was because I saw that he was probably eating enough calories or a little more than he needed, but not enough protein. I think if he concentrated in eating more protein, he wants to be a little leaner. I think if he focused on that instead of what he was doing as far as just like kind of eating for enjoyment more often, I think he'd feel fuller and he wouldn't have the desire to be going for some of the processed foods. And I think that would help him probably trim up a little bit.